I remind myself every day that taking care of me is the first step to being there for my children, for my business, but mostly for myself. I have to, I deserve it. But it's about progress. It's about doing something every day, not about trying to be perfect because we're going to fail every time.
You're listening to the Black to Business Podcast, an educational podcast providing Black entrepreneurs with the tools and resources to start and grow their businesses. We chat with vetted Black entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and business owners as they provide tips and resources to help take your business to the next level. I'm your host, Monique T. Marshall. Welcome to the Black to Business Podcast. I'm your host, Monique T. Marshall. And today we are kicking off Women's History Month with an important conversation on what it really takes to balance business, motherhood, and self-care for long-term success. As women, especially as Black women, we carry a lot. We're running a business, leading in our communities, and showing up for our families. And for my mothers in business, the challenge of balancing it all while still making time for yourself can feel overwhelming. But success should never come at the expense of your well-being. That's why today we are joined by Krystle Redding, a powerhouse self-care strategist, author, speaker, and business coach who knows firsthand what it means to juggle multiple roles while protecting her peace. As a single mother of 9 kiddos, she's built a business while raising her family and has learned that self-care isn't a luxury, it is a business strategy and a necessity. So in this conversation, we're diving into how to integrate self-care into your daily routine, how boundaries can help you grow your business, and how to avoid burnout while managing it all. So whether you're a mother, a caregiver, or simply an entrepreneur feeling stretched too thin, this conversation will give you exactly what you need to show up for yourself and your business without guilt. So if you've been struggling to find balance or feeling like there's never enough time for you, this episode is for you. So let's get into it. Krystle, welcome to the Black to Business Podcast. I am so happy that you are here. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. Thank you.
You are so welcome. And I am so excited to share your story with my audience, your expertise. And we're going to get all into balancing business and motherhood and really a self-care strategy for sustainable success. So before we get into that, I would love it if you could share your journey into entrepreneurship because I read your story and it was so amazing. So I would love it if you could share it with my audience.
Sure. So I would say because I do work with mothers, my story started when I became a mother at the age of 18. But that's childhood. So I turned around and I got married at 19. And from there, my journey was, we had one child that was actually my child, not his. But then my one child turned into 9 in marriage. And I was pouring into everybody. I was pouring into him. I was pouring into my children. I really wasn't pouring into myself. I always put myself on the back burner. I never really did. I like when I look back on it, all these years later, I didn't do anything. I literally poured into them. I woke up every morning and my mindset was on dealing with the children and getting him through the day and so on and so forth. But in spite of all this, the marriage itself was tumultuous. It was a horrible marriage, It just didn't work out, but wonderful children, horrible marriage. It was just a recipe for disaster. But when you factor in all this, we eventually separated in around 2017. And, you don't recognize toxicity until it's away from you, more or less. So upon being separated, I had to go through this journey alone. This was my first time in my life that I actually had to be an adult. And just to give you how much time had passed, this was my first time in like 13 years that I had to be an adult. And I got married at 19. So 13 years of not knowing what it is to be an adult. And I'm left alone with these 9 children who have to rely on me. And it was hard. It was hard. It was hard. And I went through a lot in this time trying to find myself. I didn't even realize I needed to find myself. I didn't know I was dealing with depression. I was dealing with a lot of things. And it really boiled down to my mother-in-law one day saying, "Hey, what happened to you? what happened to this young girl? And she gave me a picture of myself from when I first came into the family. And I was like, okay, what happened to her? She's still right here. She like,
Mm-hmm.
no, no, look at her. Look at her. She had to get stern with me. And I'm like, I see her. And she made me look in the mirror. She was like, these are not the same people. Like, you need to do something. And looking at myself in that mirror and looking at that picture side by side really did something to me. It really did.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew
Mm-hmm.
something needed to change. So at this point, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what it was. I ended up going back to something I loved, which was flags. I had volunteered at our local high school to be the instructor for our flag team, for the flag team. And that instilled something in me. It woke something up. And I was like, okay. But then the pandemic hit. And then once the pandemic hit, it was like I was right back at square one. I ended up getting a job during the pandemic. The kids ended up being virtually schooled. So now I have to work this job. I have 8 that are virtual and one, which is my 2-year-old, running around clinging to me. And I honestly look back on it like, girl, how the hell did I do this? I don't know.
Right. I'm
you
thinking.
know, but I was going through something and I began along with other parents in our area, we began protesting our local school board because they were doing things that weren't best for our children. And at one of the school board meetings, the vice president of the NAACP is like, "Hey, are you going to join the NAACP?" And I was like, "Sure." And she gets excited and she's like, "Oh my goodness, it's going to be so great to have a new, fresh, young voice in the organization." And I'm confused because I'm looking around like she said young. I'm, I'm looking like she and I look like we're the same age. So I'm like,
Uh-huh.
who's the new young voice? She said, well, you. I said, well, excuse me, how do you think I am? So upon asking her that question, she said, well, I'm about to add some years because for some reason, I think I might be off. And she said 28. And at the time I was like 35. And I was like,
Mm.
oh, you know what? I'll take that, But asking that question really did everything for me because she was like, you don't look like you have 9 children.
Yeah.
And I was like, how am I supposed to look? And that's actually the title of my book. I'm the single mother of 9 children. How am I supposed to look? But it's based on what I had to do to get to the point where I was taking care of myself in a way that people don't even think I have a lot of children, nor do they say I look like I'm that old to have
Yeah.
the children. So I knew I
Yeah.
was onto something. So that's what led me to this point. But I went through a lot at this point to get here. It wasn't an overnight thing.
Yeah. And one, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I loved your story because when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, 9 kids and she's doing it. And then also being an entrepreneur, one, for me being just no kids, an entrepreneur, I know it's a lot. And then for someone to balance 9 kids. And I know a lot of mothers who are entrepreneurs and they're trying to figure out, okay, how do I create this balance? And then also, like you mentioned, you had your first child at 18. My mom had me 18. And I did not know you did the flag team. I was on the color guard in high school, so that's interesting
Oh,
too.
yes. Love
Yes.
it.
Yeah. And the last one I love is that how am I supposed to look? Because I always see mothers and I'm like, I could tell a mother who is just like taking care of herself and just, doing those things. And it's like, you don't even look like you have kids. So that's going off on a tangent, but it's so great that you shared your story. And I wanted you to be on the show, one, because this is Women's History Month. And we have a lot of mothers who are trying to balance and do it all and also run their business. So as we celebrate Women's History Month, I want to know, Krystle, what does this time mean to you as a mother and a business owner?
Well, Monique, I really don't care to have a Women's History Month, just like I don't care to have a Black History Month, because
Mm.
Black history is history.
Yep.
Woman's history is history as well, or shall I
Hmm.
say, her story.
Yeah.
And to confine us to recognition for just 1 month is just not worth our value. So, Women's Herstory Month is a time that's often meant to honor our past, but for me, it's merely a reminder of the strength we carry every single day. So I grew up believing that recognition for women should be celebrated year round, not just in 1 month. So, as a
Yeah.
mother and a business owner, I see every day as an opportunity to live out our her story in real time. So I've been through
Mm-hmm.
so many ups and downs, juggling a business, raising my children as a single mother, and
Mm-hmm.
facing all these moments of overwhelming burnout. And through it all, I've learned that worth isn't measured by a calendar.
Yeah.
So for me, this month is a call to celebrate our resilience. You're going to hear that word a lot. I love resilience.
Yeah.
To celebrate our resilience, to honor the lessons that have been passed down by women who came before us, and to stand tall as role models for our children. And I'm proud to share my story and show that even when life feels chaotic, we can have the power to reclaim our narrative and create a lasting change. But it's
Mm-hmm.
more or less about making her story every day and providing and proving that our impact is constant and that our strength is just boundless because it is.
Mm. That is a way to bring in this conversation with a bang because I'm over here like, amen, amen. So I love how you flip that. And that's so true. And it's like we cannot be confined. So I love that message. So, Krystle, you shared your story about how you have raised 9 children. And I want to talk about how do you think motherhood has shaped you as an entrepreneur? And can you share a moment in your journey where you just had to redefine what success looked like for you as both a mother and an entrepreneur? Because I think that a lot of people think that their situation had, well, business is one size fits all and I have to do business this way, but for mothers or whoever, it might be your situation might be different. So I wanted you to share your journey in that and how it shapes you.
Honestly, motherhood has been my greatest teacher. It's been this endless source of lessons that shape every part of who I am as an entrepreneur as well. So when you're a mother, especially a single mother, you're managing both a household and a business. And you can quickly learn how to multitask and the value of every minute. You do this from your late night brainstorming sessions to the early morning hustle you have before the kids wake up. But motherhood has basically instilled in me this unparalleled sense of resourcefulness, of resilience, and creativity. So I've learned that challenges we face as mothers, whether it's managing the chaos or setting boundaries or just overcoming guilt, these are the exact same challenges that fuel the innovation in our businesses.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about finding that balance between chaos and turning everyday struggles into growth opportunities. So you think about every spilled coffee or tea or juice, whatever you drink, every
Yeah.
missed deadline and every frantic school run. Each one of these things have taught me to streamline processes, to be fiercely, and when I say fiercely, I mean fiercely adaptable. Now, understand that while motherhood gives us lessons, we don't necessarily master them all. Because motherhood has shown me that success is not a straight line. It's a series of small wins that build up over time. And being on this podcast with you today, Monique, is a small win for a big win to come for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, these lessons drive my approach to coaching, where I empower single mothers to build a sustainable self care strategy to support their business and also enrich their lives. And I believe that our experiences as mothers are our secret superpowers,
Mm-hmm.
business and personal superpowers. But to answer the second part of your question, I remember a turning point several years ago when I was intentionally, that's another word you're going to hear me saying a lot, intentionally
Mm-hmm.
adopting a growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset. And that era completely reshaped my view of success. So after a long period of just overwhelming stress and burnout, when I was juggling responsibilities, trying to keep my job because I wasn't working for myself yet, but trying to keep my job
Mm-hmm.
afloat, dealing with the worsening medical condition, I had reached a breaking point. And I was so consumed by the idea of doing it all that I realized I had lost sight of what really mattered. One absolutely exhausting morning, after I had surgery from the previously mentioned medical condition,
Mm-hmm.
I realized I was measuring success by someone else's ruler. I sat in bed and I took a long, long, hard look at my life, and I decided that real success meant doing better today than I did yesterday. I redefined success as not just achieving life targets, but also nurturing my well being. I had to set healthy boundaries. I needed to reclaim my joy
Mm-hmm.
for myself and for my children.
Right.
So that moment was my transformation. That moment is probably the biggest transformation I had. It wasn't about being perfect, it was about just progression. It was about balance. It was about embracing my imperfections. So ever since then, I've built my coaching and my self care strategies that I use around that very idea. Now, I guide other single moms to celebrate their small wins, and I realize that success is a personal journey. It's filled with growth, it's filled with resilience, but most of all, it's filled with what is it that you have and that you want to offer with your whole heart.
Mm, so good. And I resonate with that so much in that success is a personal journey because like I mentioned,
Mhm.
so many people think it's one size fits all. And I love the fact that you mention is like your well-being. That brings me to my
Mhm.
next question. So historically as women and especially as Black women, this is the Black to Business podcast. We have been the backbone of both family and business. So, how can we honor that legacy while still also prioritizing our well being? So, how do you do that?
Whew, I love this. So I
Mm-hmm.
believe we honor that legacy by embracing our power, but while we care for ourselves. So let me explain.
Mm-hmm.
As a single mother in business, especially a single Black mother, I have experienced firsthand how neglecting my own well being can slowly drain your energy. And I say we should first set boundaries. Now, that's setting boundaries with our kids, with our families, our personal lives, and also our work lives. And in chapter 6 of my newest book, I talk about how setting boundaries comes with discipline and sometimes with guilt. But
Mm-hmm.
but it brings about peace so we can properly care for what's most important and be better mothers and business women without running on empty. I say second, take intentional breaks. So when I think about her story, I see generations of women, especially Black women, who carry the weight of our families and communities with this unwavering strength. Our strength is rooted deep in our souls, fueling the hard work we do every day. And it reminds us that taking intentional breaks is essential to sustain our power. And third, I say invest in self care because it's how we preserve our strength for all of those that depend on us, including ourselves. We are the backbone.
Mm-hmm.
When we take care of ourselves, we honor our past and we pave the way for future generations to thrive with that same resilience and compassion. So we honor the legacy by setting boundaries to live peaceful lives. We take intentional breaks to sustain our power, and we invest in self care to preserve our strength.
Yes. So good. Preserving that strength. And Krystle, as you mentioned, like a Black woman and a mother, what are some of the unique challenges that you feel like Black mothers face in entrepreneurship, and how can we create solutions for future generations? Because you've built a business while also raising 9 children, and in this, also, what do you think you wish people understood about the reality of balancing both?
Well, Black mothers in entrepreneurship face challenges that extend beyond work and family. It's the
Mm-hmm.
truth. It's the truth. Often we encounter systemic barriers, such as limited access to capital, as well as the subtle biases that exist that make every step just feel just that much harder to take
Yeah.
or to get to where we're trying to get.
Right.
And then on top of that, there's this immense pressure to serve as role models for our children while pushing through societal expectations that we must be invincible. But I personally have learned that the key to overcoming these challenges is building a strong support network, a type of community where we share resources and mentorship and honest conversations about our struggles. So, by creating tailored self care strategies and business tools that address our unique needs, we can forge paths, not just for ourselves, but for the future generations as well. And that's what I do as a self care strategist. I'm part of several strong support networks, but none with all these aspects I'm talking about. So I'm actually creating one.
Mm-hmm.
By uniting these support elements into one community, I'm creating a space where challenges become a catalyst for transformation by turning our obstacles into opportunities for growth and ensuring our collective strength empowers the next wave of Black mother entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm. So good. And one of the things that I love that you talk about is in all of this is the well-being part of things and how leaning on community and also setting those boundaries. And I want to talk about also how do we shift the narrative for, because I know a lot of people want to have this do it all mindset to doing what really serves us best as leaders in business, but especially as mothers in business.
Who that pressure to do it all is overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
frankly, it's unsustainable. Unsustainable. So I've learned that the key isn't in trying to manage every task perfectly, but it's about focusing on what truly serves our well being and success. So for me, shifting this narrative meant redefining my priorities. I started by asking what truly matters. And then I started aligning my daily actions with that answer. So there are different ways to manage your time, but personally, I use my 6 goal power plan method
Okay.
where I set 3 business goals and 3 personal goals the night before to achieve for the next day. It's a simple routine. It just ensures that I focus on both my professional success and my personal well being. You see, it's all about embracing self care as a non negotiable, all about setting realistic goals and delegating tasks when you can. This approach that I take not only prevents burnout, but it also allows us to invest our energy in what matters the most in ourselves, in our families, in our businesses. This is what matters most. So when we focus on quality over quantity and give ourselves permission to say no, we create a space for genuine growth and genuine happiness. So our success should be defined by how we nurture our inner strength, not by the endless to-do lists that we feel we got to do.
Mm-hmm. Yep. In this, it's about implementing the fact that self care is a business, is a part of business, it's a strategy within itself, and it's not a luxury. So, I want to talk
Yes.
about the fact that many entrepreneurs, especially mothers, they see self care as optional. So, one of the things you also mentioned in the beginning is, you weren't yourself and you weren't taking care of yourself maybe in the way that you wanted to. And so, how do you reframe this self care as a necessity for success?
Well, Monique, like we just established, I used to think self-care was a luxury as well. I literally thought it was something to squeeze in when I had a spare time. And I
Right.
know many, many women, if not most, think the same way. But I've come to learn that it's actually the fuel for our success. So when I don't take time to recharge, I simply can't show up fully for my kids, for my
Right.
business, not even for myself. So I now see self care as the non negotiable foundation that keeps me energized and creative. It's just like recharging your phone. If you don't plug it in, you're not going to last the day. So, by integrating small, intentional self care practices, whether it's like sharp meditation or a mindful break, which basically means sitting and focusing on your breathing for a few minutes, or just noticing you have tension in your body anywhere, or just being present with your senses, noticing what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, what you feel. Little things like this help, and I empower myself daily to overcome burnout and achieve more. And this mindset shift, which is pretty much the heart of my coaching, it has transformed my life, it has transformed my business. And I encourage every mom to take a self, to make self care her priority, just not an afterthought.
Mm-hmm. That's good. And you also mentioned, like you said, like this is you can't show up for everybody else if you're not showing up for yourself. So I want to talk about what this looks like when you prioritize self-care and how it improves your business performance and efficiency. So how can prioritizing this do that?
Well, I mean, here again, prioritizing. You know, you show up, you're at your fullest. Or if not at your fullest, you're high enough to be at your fullest. And everything, including your productivity, goes up, your focus goes up, everything goes up. And that's what you need in order to be your best, more or less. You need this to be present with your children. You need this to be present in your business. I mean, we could show up every day and not be present. There's a difference. Your
Mm-hmm.
body's there, but your mind, your spirit, everything else is not there. And things become a problem, or you get irritable, or, it's just not right. It doesn't work for you. So, yeah, you have to do this. You have to keep the prioritization up for this reason.
And what would you say to mothers or women who feel that they have no time for themselves due to the family and the business obligations?
Make time.
Mm-hmm. Simply that.
Make time. If you're listening to the sound of my voice, I want you to know that I know exactly how it feels when it seems like there's not a minute to spare between family and business obligations. So, my advice is simple: start small and be intentional. Even if it's just 10 minutes a day, carve out some time as a non negotiable. And trust me, those few minutes do add up. So I use strategies, like I said, my daily 6 power goal method to stay focused. That's how I stay focused on what needs to get done. But I also take micro breaks throughout the day to recharge. That may not be for everybody, but that's for me. You might be the type of person who needs to time block your day and schedule time for yourself. Or maybe you need to use the Pomodoro technique, in which you work like focused work for like 25 minutes straight, and then you take a 5-minute break. In that 5-minute break, you allow yourself that time to recharge, whatever that may look like for you. But however you carve it out, just be intentional. Be very intentional about it. It's not about adding more to your to-do list. It's about prioritizing yourself, because you deserve to feel your best. And I need you to remember that self-care isn't selfish. It's essential. So when you take a sharp break for yourself, you return to your task with clarity and energy that you didn't have a few minutes before that. And that makes you more productive. So you just got to identify that one small self care habit you can integrate into your life daily, and then just gradually build on it from there.
Yeah, I love that. And I love me some good old Pomodoro technique. So I love that. You
Oh,
gave that.
really?
Like,
Go ahead,
yes,
girl.
I have to do that. And now I want to shift into the avoiding the burnout. So you're managing the business, you're managing motherhood, and you want to avoid burnout. So, Crystal, what are some of the common mistakes that you think mothers in business make when they're trying to balance everything, and maybe some of the things that you faced?
From what I've seen, the biggest mistake is just trying to do it all. We get caught up in the idea that we have to be super mom,
Mm-hmm.
handling every little task at work and home, all without just taking time for ourselves. And we neglect our own needs, thinking that if we don't do everything, something might fall apart. And that's common both at home and in business. So, this all or nothing mindset, as we talked about earlier, it leads to overwhelm, but it sets us up for burnout. So, another mistake is failing to ask for help or even delegating our task. And this is
Mm-hmm.
something else I touched on earlier. When we try to carry that weight alone, our energy gets drained and our creativity suffers. Our productivity, it declines. So I've learned that it's essential to acknowledge our limits and prioritize self-care, because here again, it's not a luxury. It's essential for sustainable success in both our personal and our business lives. So you hear me repeating many concepts over and over again, but that's because I need them
Mm-hmm.
to be ingrained in our
Right.
listeners' minds.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I love the fact that you mentioned that, because also people are like, okay, Krista's giving us all of these tips, and I'm going to take these tips because one, you are balancing motherhood, a single mother of nine. So I want to talk about you. It's important that you also mention getting help, and then also saying no. And how do you personally manage being a single mom of nine, but you're also running a business?
Who? It's a lot. It's not like it's not like it's a lot. It's not as easy as I may make it sound.
Yeah.
It's a wild
Yeah.
ride for what it is. But I've learned to manage it by creating structure and just embracing my self-care. Here again, I keep saying it. I use methods like my 6 power goal method every day to keep both my business and my personal life on track. And I also set firm boundaries. So I know when to step away and I know when to recharge. I
Mm-hmm.
do delegate whenever possible, whether it's small tasks in the house with the kids or just some aspects of my business. But I do this to ensure that I'm not getting overwhelmed. My morning soak, I take a morning soak every day for about an hour. That is a non-negotiable. That's my
Mm-hmm.
non-negotiable ritual that gives me this uninterrupted time to reflect, recharge, and even brainstorm with my new partner when we do have brainstorming time. Because my children know, do not bother mama when that door closes.
Love that. Yes.
but it's these simple, consistent practices like that just keep me grounded and focused. I remind myself every day that taking care of me is the first step to being there for my children, for my business, but mostly for myself. I have to, I deserve it. But it's about progress. It's about doing something every day, not about trying to be perfect, because we're going to fail every time.
Mm-hmm. That is true. And I definitely caught that. I love that you mentioned delegating, not outside, but you also mentioned like delegating to your children. So it's like using the help that you have in your children as well. So I think like a lot of parents are like, oh, I do everything. That superwoman is doing everything, but then also not having the children help. So I love that you mentioned having the kids help around the house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
the little ones, they can do little things. They can pick up toys, they can put things away. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
now newborns, that's a different story, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you have a child that can walk, they
Mm-hmm.
can follow simple instructions, you can put them to work to do little things. It's
Yeah.
not going to hurt. It's actually going to help in the long run, because it's also teaching that child responsibility. So, yeah, take some of that stress off of you, girl.
Yes. And all of your kids in school graduated. What's the
Well,
age?
at this
The
time,
youngest.
the ages are 6 to 21. But when this
Okay.
began, All of them were in school except for my youngest. She was 2 at the time. Now I have 8 that still stay in the house with me. My 21-year-old is out on his own,
Mm,
and 7 of them are still in school. My oldest, he works and he's doing
mhm.
his thing, and I am behind him 100%.
Yeah.
I am present for every last one of them, no matter what it is they have going on. So, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I love that because I'm also in, like I mentioned, I'm not a mother, and I am also in groups with a lot of women entrepreneurs who are mothers. And a lot of times they share what they're working on in their business, and it is so phenomenal. I'm like, y'all are running laps around me. I have no excuse. So it's also motivating, but I also think it's like you have to make the best use of your time.
You do. You do.
Yeah. So I'm
You
so glad you
absolutely
shared that.
do.
I'm like, it's no excuse. So, so one of the things I also want to ask you about is, of course, with mothers or just raising children, for some people, their situation might be they're financially strapped. So they may think about like, how do I practice self-care when the finances are tight? What advice could you give to women who are in that situation?
There is so much you can do that doesn't cost a dime. It costs time, but not a dime. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's a bar. Wait.
Yes.
It costs time, but it don't cost a dime. Wait, okay. But I get budgets can be tight because mine has walked the tightrope plenty of times.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it doesn't have to cost a fortune. There are plenty of free or low cost ways to recharge. You could take a brisk walk. You can practice deep breathing exercises. You can play with the kiddos for a few minutes. It may seem like it's an extra thing to do, but you'd be surprised just getting up and dancing with them. You feel happier. They feel happier. Plus, they get a few minutes of time with you, and that's all they might need. And then they go back and they're recharged. They're recharged, and they're not all over the place anymore. Or you can just spend a few minutes journaling. Like, all these things are incredibly effective. But I just recommend tapping into free resources. You got the guided meditation apps are YouTube. You have self-care blogs. Oftentimes they offer practical tips without breaking the bank. So a little creativity can go a long way. You can do your own DIY spa day. And I know I said spa days, aren't all self care. They can help. They're a tool, but that's not complete self care. But you can just have a quiet moment with your favorite music, even if that means when you run to the bathroom. Like my bathroom breaks are golden. That is my
Yes.
time. But these things can work wonders. So you just got to remember that self-care is about consistency and being intentional about it, not about being expensive. It's just small regular acts that add up and keep you going strong.
Yes. Love that. And I'm over here like, yes, yes. And these are for great tips for people who are expecting mothers, also
Mhm.
you want to be a mother in the future. So writing all the notes and taking all the things in.
Girl, take them. Take them. Take
Yeah.
them.
So also, and that brings me to the support system. So how can business owners build a strong support system to make that balance more achievable? And some of the ways that you've created and who has been a part of your support system?
Whew. Support systems. Now that looks different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't have the support like I have or had. Some
Yeah.
people have a lot of support, but it's not the right support. So support systems is one that you got to literally fill out for yourself and figure out for yourself. Now, my personal support system, my children are my biggest cheerleaders. But in my case, my children has had to grow up with me. So they've seen me at my lowest, whereas they're
Mm-hmm.
seeing me at my highest and going up to my highest, or the highest that I've been since they've seen. So my children really do cheer me on. They're the biggest part of my support system. My current partner is more than just a partner. He is an accountability partner. He genuinely holds me to higher standards in a good way. I set the standards, he holds me to them.
Right.
And I cannot say nothing bad about him. He's my A1 day one. From the day we started this, he's been on me to reach levels higher than I ever thought I could imagine. My dad and my sister-in-law, they are my rock. They are always there for me for advice when it comes down to helping with the kids. But then also I have groups that I'm a part of. I'm part of the Book Profits Club. Great club, great organization to be a part of, especially being an author. I have people I can call on and count on for business there. The Small Business Network, same thing. One Woman Organization, same thing. So I have a support network of different people coming from different walks, holding me accountable in different ways. So you just got to figure out what yours is, who falls in these categories for you.
Yeah, yeah, and that's so good because, like you said, it looks different from everyone, and some people it might be their family, it might not be, but
Mm-hmm.
and I also can resonate with growing up with my mother. It's like we're her biggest cheerleaders as well because it's like she had me at 18, she had my brother at 19,
Mm-hmm.
so that definitely is great to hear. Now I want to transition into the work that you were doing. So I would love it if you could share more about Spark and Soar, the program you have, and how it supports single mothers in business.
So my Spark and Stir program is for single moms. Initially, I was saying single moms in business, but as I continued going, working with a few people, open to all single moms now. So, but basically, you learn about burnout, and we create your own personalized self-care strategy plan. What that may look like. It may look like time management, how to manage your time, how to incorporate whatever needs to be incorporated every day. But how do you do this? I have kids. Things always happen. I always get called from the school. That's okay. That's why we're doing this because that's why I do this.
Yep.
Because with 9 children, especially when all of them were in school at one time, I was stressed. I was stretched. I might get called to the high school for one thing, and then this child is sick, So I was stretched and trying to get things done, but I figured it out. And when you have me as a coach, I can resonate with you, first of all. Second of all, not only do I resonate with you, I've been there and I understand. I understand where you're coming from. So when I do this with you and you sit down, you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to figure out where do I start. I do all of that for you. I take the thinking away. I just make life better by egging you on, coaching you through. I don't like giving advice. I hate giving advice, but I prefer you after we sit down and we talk to figure it out on your own with my help. And then I can say, hey, that's a good idea. That might not be a good idea because. So that's what I'm doing. And it's called the Spark and Soar Blueprint Program. You can pretty much find it on my website, but nothing's there. You have to go through me. You have to contact me if you'd like to know more.
Love that. And any other programs or resources that you offer to entrepreneurs?
So on my website, it's chrissyvanity.online. First and foremost, I have my burnout prevention checklist, which you can take a quick little 5-question quiz and figure out if you're on the verge of burnout. I offer you 5 strategies that you can implement into your life today. On top of that, I have the first chapter of my book where you can actually read it and get a feel of what it is that I do and who I am so that you can trust the sources I'm giving you.
Love that. And Krystle, if you could share any upcoming events or also where can people find the books?
So I am going to be speaking in Richmond, Virginia on May 3rd for the One Woman Fearless Summit 2025, where I speak on It Broke Me, but It Woke Me. That's the title of my talks. I have an online business summit coming up. It's going to be different days in March that I'll have to, get with you all and tell you all. But you can find pretty much everything about me on Krystle Vanity, KRISSYVANITY.online. Or if you want to know exactly how to get the book, you can go to I Am a Single Mother of 9. That's the number 9.com to get the book. So anything you want to know is pretty much there. Everything's on the website. You can contact me there. Social media, I'm Krystle Redding on Facebook, Krystle.Redding.77, at Krystle Vanity 20 on Instagram. And on LinkedIn, here again is Krystle Redding. Yeah, that's how you can find me, and you can find everything.
Love that. And Krystle, what's one final piece of advice you give to mothers in business who are struggling to find that balance?
Give yourself some grace. We're not perfect at all, and that's okay. It's about progression, not perfection.
Mm-hmm. And that is well said. And my final question is, what does it mean to you to be Black in business?
Oh, it means a lot, because once upon a time we weren't even allowed that. So to
Mm-hmm.
be at this point is amazing. It's it's something we have to cherish. It's something we need to nourish. It's something we have to embrace. So I embrace being Black in business. I embrace being a woman in business, but I most of all embrace being a Black woman in business who is defying what society says is the odds. Being a single mother, not with just one child, but nine. So I embraced it 100%. And that's what it feels like. It feels like a journey to continue and to watch.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Krystle, thank you so much for sharing your journey and your insights on balancing motherhood and business. And thank you for the work that you are doing. And thank you for being on the Black to Business podcast.
I appreciate you having me, Monique. Thank you so much.
That was such a much needed conversation. And if there is one thing to take away from today, it is that taking care of yourself is just as important as taking care of your business. Krystle really broke it down from setting boundaries that actually work to making self-care a daily habit instead of an afterthought. And she also reminded us that balance doesn't mean doing everything perfectly. It means being intentional about what really matters. And for all my mothers in business, I know so many of you are juggling a lot. I hope that this episode showed you that you don't have to do it all alone. And you don't have to run yourself in the ground to be successful. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the Black to Business family. Let's keep showing up for ourselves and supporting each other. And for more on today's episode and to connect with Krystle, head over to blacktobusiness.com/242. We've got all the details and resources waiting for you. And of course, we will be back next week with another amazing conversation. So make sure you tune in. But until then, keep building boldly and keep pushing the culture forward. Later.